Hey, what's up everyone out there in YouTube land? This is Jeremy with RemyKPhotography.com. I'm going to show you two photos from this recent shoot that I did of this belly dancer, Zarina. And you can go ahead and, if you're interested, you could check out the video that I did for her as well. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and edit the photo as I normally would, and then I'll tackle the background. I guess it could be done either way, but this is the way that I'm going to do it. So I'm going to add a little contrast. I'll pull the highlights down a little bit, the shadows up a little bit. That's going to create more dynamic range. I'm going to go ahead and boost this vibrance up a lot, so I'll push it. It's a little too much, so we'll play with it. Alright, it's probably a little much. I'll pull off of a little bit and see what I think. Just want to make the colors pop in her outfit. Let's go ahead and try this. Okay, I don't want to lose any detail in her hair, so I'm going to keep that the way it is. Alright, so basically when I edit, I usually go for just whatever's bugging my eye the most. You know, I just keep making corrections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just brighten up down here. You see how that was a little dark? Before and after. You know what, I'll even do another one. This time right there. I'm actually going to do one more. I'll turn this one down a little bit though. Alright, she's looking better already. And this area is kind of bright. What I'm going to do, I'm going to basically do the same thing, except maybe instead of making it brighter, what I'll do is I'll turn the highlights down a little bit, and then I'll add a little sharpness right there to kind of pull out the detail. So you see, there's before, here's after. I want to add some more sharpness. Alright, let's zoom out and look at it. Let's press H to hide that tool I was using. Now we can do another before and after. And you see a lot more detail. It's almost too much detail. I'm going to go ahead and pull off a little bit off the slider. There you go. Now let's do one more before and after. Alright. Okay. I think that's pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tool, but we're going to go to soften skin. I'm just going to do a quick skin softening effect. And you know, ever since Lightroom added this feature in here, we don't even need to go into Photoshop to do that. I'll even go as far as doing up here. You know, that was a quick, you know, when I originally did this photo before I delivered it to her, I would zoom in and work on it. You know, but just for the video's sake, I did it really quick, and it came out fine enough for the video. So I'm going to just back off the clarity with the skin soften preset. The clarity is all the way down. I think that looks a little unrealistic, so I'm going to back off a little bit. Alright, now let's create a new one, because now we're going to go back into exposure, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the exposure, and then I'm just going to basically color. And again, we don't even have to go to Photoshop. Keep it within this right there. And if you're watching me and trying this stuff, just so you know, like, this auto mask is on, so I can get close to the edges and don't really have to worry about her. You know, I turn the exposure down on her blue cloth. So let me just go ahead and get this done. Alright, it looks pretty good, but you can still see, you know, there's something funny going on right here. So what I do is click New, and this time I'm going to lower the exposure, but a lot less. I'll even lower the flow. Come and tap. See what kind of effect it does. Instead of clicking and dragging, what I'm doing now is I'm tapping. That way it kind of seems like, you know, her hair is what's glowing, and you don't see a defined edge. You can play with that until it looks good. Oh, that was too much. And you might need to come and add a new one. I'll just go ahead and add a new one, and then you can adjust the exposure a little bit more. This time I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to lower the flow a lot. Make it bigger. Just want to make sure there's no lines where you can tell that I clicked and dragged. And I still have this blue right here. So there you go. I think that's pretty good for that one. Of course, you can always keep going. Let's go right here. I'll make it a little bit bigger. This is, I want it a little brighter. Alright, I think that looks good. You know, of course, you know, you could zoom in and boost the exposure a little bit on our eyeball or something like that, but you get the idea. I'm pretty happy with that. I think maybe this is a little bright right here, so let me press H to see that. Let me pull the highlights down a little bit more. There we go. And, you know, if you can't tell the difference in that, you know, just keep doing it through practice, through experience. Your eyes will get trained to be able to see those small little details. So what I did, this was really bright, so I just brought the highlights down to see where I need to take the highlights in order to get them where I want. Right there. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and boost the exposure up, boost the shadows. You know, I forgot to add, well, the last one didn't need any noise reduction. I'm gonna add some to it anyway. Go ahead and add a little bit of sharpening, and then a little noise reduction. make it look softer. I'm going to add a little bit more because the ISO is up a little higher. I'm just adding just a general sharpening. Alright, we'll go ahead and add some vibrance and see where we're at. I actually like this up a little higher than I had it last time. So, alright, so, you know, I mean, it's alright the way it is, but let me go ahead and, I want to boost the exposure over here. As you can see, you know, there's a little bit of a yellow effect on this photo. So, you might find this sometimes, and, you know, just as a little tip, if you're, you know, you're ever working on a photo and the lighting sucks, but the photo's great, you know, the exposure or the composition is really good, but, you know, like in this case, there is some yellow. What you could do is, here, let me finish brightening this up a little bit. Okay. What you could do is just go black and white. Boom, all of a sudden that is gone. Right? So now you can't even see the yellow color. That's a quick fix. And it looks pretty good black and white, actually. You know, what I could do is create another one of these, but except for it being brighter, I could turn this down. Let's look at the before and after. This is actually different than how I originally edited this photo. Let's add a little bit of clarity. See what that looks like. Alright, and of course, I could go ahead and lower the exposure. I could lower the exposure and do the same thing for the background that I did for the last pic. You know what, I wasn't going to, just so that way I could save you guys some time, but let me just, I'll do it quickly again. You know, obviously if I was doing this for a client, I would take my time more, but I'm kind of rushing. But this will give you an idea for how much you can rush. Don't want to lose the edges, but that's pretty good right there. And just like coloring as a kid, you know, but it is tedious, it does take time, and honestly my hands are getting repetitive injury strain from clicking a mouse and doing this so much. So I recommend, I'm getting ready to get an iPad Pro or a Wacom tablet so that way I can avoid the mouse. Eventually it will take a wear and tear on your body. So a little tip for you there. As you see, this happened to the arm as I was going along. So, you know, that's not good. That's actually terrible. So, you know, I would go back and fix that. But, you know, there's no reason to go backwards now and fix it and color it back in for you guys. But, you know, that's an idea. Another idea, you know, what you could do instead of going black and white is you could just lower the saturation, and then like if you wanted to, let me see here. Alright, so what we could do is we could turn up the saturation with the adjustment brush. Let's move the exposure back, make the brush smaller. Let's lower the saturation. And then have it so that's something a little bit different, you know. She looks more like a superhero now. This arm is still bugging me, but I mean, you get the idea. You know, I helped overcome a few different challenges, like her arm being different colors. You know, you can just get rid of saturation. That's probably the quickest and easiest way to do it. And this is kind of a blend between the two, you know, with there being some saturation on some parts of the image and no saturation for other parts. You know, of course, you know, what you would want to do is get in here and spend a lot more time going over it all in detail to make sure that you get it right. So there you go. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that you could do with this, but this gives you an idea of, you know, some of the things that I do when I edit. And you know, like little things like drawing up the detail. You could do that a little bit more, like right here. Playing with the saturation is pretty cool. Getting rid of some of her saturation. Like you come over here and get another one and lose it even more. Now she's starting to look really gray. Let's see if this skin softening will work. Nope. Nope. What I would have to do is go back to wherever, over here, to find my image before I distorted it like that. And then go from there. Alright guys, so yeah, the image isn't perfect. You know, like I said, this is totally different than the way that I originally edited the photo before I delivered it to her. But I just wanted to kind of be a little bit more creative and show you a few different options and show you, you know, some ways of troubleshooting in case you end up in a situation. Sometimes if you're shooting a wedding and there's uplights, you might get a great shot, but there's or even dance floor lights, but there'll be a colored laser ball on their head, and it kind of ruins the shot. But if you you know, if you do little things like just turn it into a black and white in a matter of seconds, you can basically just save that photograph, which is a really useful tool, because you never know which one is going to be their favorite one. If you don't give them the photo, I mean, they'll never know that you didn't give it to them, most likely, depending on the photo. But, you know, sometimes you'll be surprised. You know, you might be like, oh, well, let me just turn it into a black and white. And then they end up saying, you know, that was their favorite photo. That kind of stuff does happen. So, you know, if you can just take a few extra seconds and deliver one extra awesome image to them, you know, they'll never know that you had color bleeding over from whatever it is in your shoot. So I hope that helps, guys. If so, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you want me to do more tutorials, let me know. This is actually my first one, so you know, if I get people that are like, oh, let's show us some more, then I'll do some more tutorials. But make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so that way you're notified whenever I do another one. I hope to see you in the future video, guys. Have a good day.